A male narrator explains that he has learned not to trust certain things, as he always pays the price in the end, flashing back to a memory of a boy kneeling before a girl in a school hallway. The narrator's internal monologue concludes that he should never trust girls who are kind to him, as an image of a girl with wavy, reddish-brown hair appears. A black-haired high school student introduces himself as Yuta Tonyo and states his distrust of girls as a crowd of them rushes past him, fawning over someone named Rai-sama. Yuta recalls multiple instances of girls using him to get closer to his handsome and popular older brother, solidifying his mistrust. The wavy-haired girl from his memory, a classmate, greets Yuta in the school hallway, but he internally reaffirms that his distrust extends to her as well. The wavy-haired girl persistently says, "Good morning" to an annoyed Yuta, following him until he finally yells the greeting back at her. The girl simply smiles and repeats her greeting, causing Yuta to become internally flustered and angry at his own reaction. Yuta identifies the girl as his classmate, Izumi Hujo, and his suspicion that she is after his brother is seemingly confirmed when he overhears other students discussing them as a perfect match. Izumi startles Yuta by asking for his favorite kind of bread, and he is left confused by her motives after he sees her later with bread that was apparently bought for her. During gym class, another male student asks Yuta for his opinion on how cute Izumi Hujo is while she plays basketball. As Yuta's friends praise Izumi's academics and personality, they all watch her attempt a difficult, long-range shot during the basketball game and miss. Despite missing her shot, Izumi is pleased with her effort, which confuses Yuta while his friends find her cute. Izumi's friend, Urara, then accuses a flustered Yuta of staring. Izumi turns and gives a shy smile in Yuta's direction, leaving him and his friends stunned and Yuta completely bewildered. As Yuta leaves school, he puzzles over Izumi's behavior and briefly fantasizes that she might like him, but is snapped out of it by girls fawning over his brother Rei. Yuta's brief hope is crushed when he sees a cute first-year student giving a notebook to his brother Rei, assuming she is just like all the others. A crowd of girls rushes toward Rei, knocking Yuta to the ground and reinforcing his belief that girls only pretend to be nice to him to get to his brother. As Yuta lies on the floor, Izumi kneels down and offers him a handkerchief, asking if he is alright, which brings his thoughts back to not trusting kind girls. Izumi tells a hesitant Yuta that he can use her handkerchief, and as he looks around at the other students, he asks her why she is helping him. Yuta bluntly asks Izumi why she isn't chasing after his brother like the other girls, and she appears confused by the question. Izumi explains she helped him simply because she found him, smiles, and urges him to take the handkerchief, which a flustered Yuta accepts. Crouching alone in the now empty hallway, Izumi smiles to herself and quietly says, "You're welcome." Izumi informs Yuta that the handkerchief is her favorite and that he must return it, sending him into an internal panic that this is a ploy to get to his brother. Overwhelmed and flustered, Yuta vows to himself that he will not be deceived again, while elsewhere, Urara asks Izumi if something good happened. In class the next day, Yuta thinks about his distrust just as Izumi greets him, reinforcing his belief that she is after his brother. After Yuta tells Izumi his zodiac sign is Virgo, she startles him by suddenly grabbing his tie, causing a commotion just as Urara shouts Izumi's name from the hallway. Urara cheerfully appears and explains that Virgo's lucky color is blue, while the unlucky color is dark green, which is why she and Izumi have both removed their green school ties. Holding the tie Izumi removed for him, Yuta reaffirms his distrust of girls and horoscopes, just as another crowd of students rushes past him toward his brother. Feeling tired and unlucky, Yuta dozes in class and starts to think Izumi's horoscope warning was right, then notices her drop some small white items, wondering if that's her lucky color. Yuta slips while trying to help Izumi retrieve her dropped items and falls into her, burying his face in her shoulder in an embarrassing stumble. Just as Yuta falls on Izumi, a crowd chasing Rei nearly runs him over, and Izumi tells a blushing Yuta that he was lucky she was there to break his fall. Rei-sama is surrounded by adoring girls, while Yuta Tono is introduced as a high schooler who distrusts girls because they only use him to get to his brother. Yuta internally reaffirms his distrust of all girls, especially his classmate Izumi Hujo, who has been bothering him lately as she watches him enter the classroom. Yuta confronts Izumi for sitting in his seat, and she offers to share it, which he refuses, convinced she is only talking to him to get closer to his brother. As Yuta writes in his journal, Izumi stares at him before her friend Aurora bursts in to announce a surprise math quiz, which Izumi suggests Yuta also forgot. Yuta gets a terrible score of 550 on his math quiz, and his friends tease him that it's because he was distracted by Huju, making him resolve to go study. Deciding a change of scenery might help, Yuta goes to the school library to study but finds he is still struggling to understand the material. Yuta is startled when Izumi appears beside him in the library and points out a mistake in his work. He is surprised to see her studying. Yuta thinks about how he expected Izumi to be at a cafe, not reading a light novel with a long title, and dismisses the idea that she could like him. Izumi sits next to a flustered Yuta, explaining she thought he needed help since he hadn't written anything, which makes him recall hearing that she is smart. Yuta observes Izumi spacing out and doubts her academic ability, but is shocked when she grabs his test and then smugly reveals her own test with the same 5D score. After being shushed by another student, Izumi leans in close to a frustrated Yuta and offers to teach him the parts of the quiz he doesn't understand. Yuta is confused by Izumi's teaching method as they study late into the evening, finally shouting in triumph when he finishes his work. When Yuta asks to check Izumi's answers, she reveals she finished long ago and was simply waiting for him to be done reading. Blushing, Yuta wonders if Izumi was really waiting for him and might actually have feelings for him as she scoots her chair closer to look at his work. Izumi leans over Yuta's shoulder, smiles, and tells him his answer is correct, causing his heart to pound in his chest. Izumi abruptly leaves after saying her mom got home, leaving Yuta flustered. The next day, he gets a perfect score on his makeup test. Yuta is shopping for groceries at a supermarket, complaining to himself about the rising cost of vegetables. While looking for more vegetables, Yuta bumps into someone and is shocked to discover it is Izumi Hujo. Yuta thinks Izumi looks cute in casual clothes, but quickly panics, telling himself she's messing with him as he mindlessly throws snacks into his basket. Izumi points out that Yuta is buying snacks instead of essentials from a shopping list, takes them from him, and tells him to put them back. Yuta watches Izumi looking at ice cream and gets flustered when she physically stops him from buying snacks, so he grabs her shopping list from her. Leaving the store, Izumi thanks Yuta for his help, and an elderly shopkeeper who knows Yuta asks if Izumi is his friend. Yuta becomes extremely flustered, denying that Izumi is his girlfriend, while the shopkeeper explains she thought they were on a date because they looked like they were having fun. Yuta reflects that he's never seen Izumi laugh, but imagines she would around his brother, reinforcing his belief that he shouldn't be deceived by her. While walking home in the rain, Yuta sees Izumi standing outside without an umbrella and, after a moment's hesitation, decides to approach her. Yuta holds his umbrella over Izumi, telling her she might catch a cold and offering to give it to her. Yuta is surprised when Izumi decides to share the umbrella with him instead of taking it for herself, thinking most girls would have refused. Izumi says it's fine as they walk closely together, and Yuta becomes nervous from their proximity under the small umbrella. Yuta internally accuses Izumi of trying to get on his good side, convinced she's not genuinely enjoying her time with him, as a van speeds toward a puddle nearby. Yuta pulls Izumi out of the way just as a van splashes water all over him, and he tells a concerned Izumi that he is fine. A blushing Yuta tells Izumi that he's fine and that she wouldn't have gotten wet if he hadn't used the umbrella, but she points out that he's right. As they both stand soaked in the rain, Izumi begins to laugh. Izumi bursts into laughter, asking a dripping wet Yuta what he's doing. Yuta apologizes, but Izumi says it's fine and thanks him for protecting her. As the rain stops and the sky clears, Yuta thinks to himself that she's a strange girl. As Izumi walks away, she tells Yuta to hurry home so he doesn't catch a cold, leaving him to think that she is someone he needs to watch out for. A short comic introduces Yuta as being 167 cm tall, the same height as Izumi, which Urara calls a match. Yuta internally insists he's 168 cm after rounding, while his friends tease him. Yuta watches Izumi staring at a vending machine, annoyed at how long she is taking, only to realize she is 10 yen short and decides to buy her a juice. Yuta's brother, Rei-sama, Tono, is described as an incredibly handsome boy who supposedly causes roses to appear when he walks by, an idea Yuta scoffs at. During the classroom seat change, Yuta is horrified to discover that Izumi Hujo, the person he is most wary of, is now sitting next to him. Izumi leans close to a flustered Yuta and says she hopes they get along, making him think that sitting next to her is a trap. Yuta resolves to use this opportunity to see through Izumi's facade, but is startled when she stares at him, causing him to awkwardly claim he was looking at the mountains outside. Yuta questions his own theory that Izumi is after his brother, then notices how cute and sparkly all her school supplies are, including a strange bouncy keychain. Izumi holds up her keychain, a lazy dog, and tells a stunned Yuta that it kind of looks like him, as other students comment on them having fun together. Frustrated that he can't figure Izumi out, Yuta assumes that she will eventually start pestering him for information about his brother, just like everyone else who sits near him. Yuta is completely shocked when he notices that his new seatmate, Izumi, is wearing glasses. Yuta wonders if Izumi has bad eyesight, which would explain her comment about mountains. He then proudly tells a classmate that his own vision is 20/20 because he's an outdoorsy kid. When Yuta is called on in class and doesn't know the answer, Izumi leans over and whispers persistence to him. Unsure if he can trust her, Yuta hesitates, wondering if Izumi is trying to trick him into giving the wrong answer in front of the class. Yuta decides to trust Izumi and gives the answer she whispered, which the teacher confirms is correct, much to his relief. A student behind him whispers, "Thanks." Izumi smiles and twirls her pen, which makes Yuta blush and wonder why she seems to be enjoying herself. Deciding to trust her just this once, Yuta asks Izumi why she didn't just ask to switch seats if she has bad eyesight. Izumi simply smiles and says, "I like it here," leaving Yuta completely unable to understand her motives. A flashback shows the seat assignments being posted. With Izumi getting a number for the last row, she tells a concerned Urara that it's fine. A full-page illustration shows Izumi smiling to herself after getting her back row seat number, as a small panel shows her telling Urara she'll just wear her glasses. Izumi tries out several different hairstyles and repeatedly asks a flustered Yuta for his opinion on them. Yuta notices Izumi gets a happy look on her face when she opens her pencil case and peeks inside, discovering it's full of Lazadog merchandise. A student asks Urara why she isn't interested in chasing after Rei-sama, and she declares that she loves herself more, which Izumi says she loves about her. On a bus for a school trip, Urara enthusiastically suggests a game of cards and includes a reluctant Yuta. The class is on a bus for an outdoor learning day trip. Yuta feels uneasy about the group he ended up in with 4 other male students. Yuta is relieved he isn't grouped with girls, but then realizes Izumi is in his group too. The boys decide to play cards to assign curry-making roles. One of Yuta's group members says he heard that firewood duty is brutal, making everyone determined not to lose the card game as the bus arrives at their destination. Yuta asks an annoyed Izumi why she is also on firewood duty, and she explains it is because they were the bottom 2 losers of the card game. While hauling firewood up a steep hill, Yuta sees Izumi struggling and wobbling, and he comments that she looks completely exhausted already. Yada notices something strange about Izumi's appearance just as a kind classmate named Hasegawa approaches to check on them. After Hasegawa offers her help, leaving the other boys swooning, Izumi suddenly reappears behind Yuta and apologizes for taking so long. Yuta comments on how bad Izumi seems to be at physical activity, and she gets annoyed, grabbing his arm and telling him they need to hurry back for curry. As they walk back, Izumi tells Yuta he's a nice guy, and when he questions her, she simply blushes and says, thanks. Back at the campsite, Yuta and Izumi discover that the cooking team has ruined the curry by adding secret ingredients like chocolate and yogurt. After a classmate confirms the curry is awful, Yuta and Izumi taste it and agree. The cooking team panics and scrambles to find more ingredients to fix it. A student asks Izumi if Yuta is a good cook, and another chimes in that he even makes his own bento, leaving Izumi looking thoughtful. After Yuta fixes the meal, everyone digs into the delicious curry, praising his cooking for saving the day. Yuta is relieved his fix worked, but grows nervous when he notices Izumi hasn't commented on the food, prompting him to ask for her opinion. Leaning close to a nervous Yuta, a blushing Izumi holds up her plate and tells him that his curry is delicious. Yuta blushes and wonders why he feels happy about Izumi's compliment, just as an announcement is made for a new recreation event to begin. A teacher named Mr. Kobayashi announces the start of a treasure hunt game, much to the excitement of the students. In a short comic, Yuta plays the final round of Old Maid against Izumi and becomes flustered when she stares at him intensely from extremely close up. In the comic, Yuta believes Izumi is messing with him while holding the Joker, and he happily draws a card as his friends watch. In the comic, Yuta decides to grab the card he thinks isn't the Joker, but Izumi grips his wrist to stop him and he yells that she is cheating. In the comic, Yuta triumphantly pulls a card from Izumi's hand, only to discover he drew the Joker, realizing he was being manipulated the whole time. The teacher explains that the treasure hunt involves solving puzzles, and the grand prize is 1,000,000 yen, sending the students into a frenzy. Yuta notices Izumi is lagging behind the group with no energy and thinks to himself that something about her seems off today. The group finds their first clue, a multiple-choice question about a teacher's hobby, and Yuta complains that it's an impossible question to answer. Izumi correctly answers that the teacher's hobby is bowling, explaining she remembered it from class, which impresses everyone. The other boys praise Izumi for getting the first question right, and as she looks over at him, Yuta quietly thinks that she seems fine now. As the group energetically solves several more puzzles, one of the boys expresses excitement that they are nearing the end, while Yuta just seems tired. With only 10 minutes left in the treasure hunt, the group realizes Izumi went to get water and hasn't returned, causing them to worry. Worried that Izumi might be lost, Yuta imagines her getting distracted and decides to tell the others he is also going to get water so he can look for her. Yuta runs off to find Izumi, and after thinking about how spacey she can be, he is relieved to find her crouching by the side of the path. Izumi explains she was following a sign for treasure, and as Yuta expresses his relief that she wasn't lost, he notices her ankle and asks if she is hurt. Yuta explains he knew Izumi was hurt because she had been acting strangely all day and tells her that she shouldn't have forced herself to participate. A blushing Izumi looks down and quietly confesses that she forced herself because she was really looking forward to the trip with everyone. Yuta is flustered, thinking how he always found Izumi unreadable, but now she is showing a clear, embarrassed expression while fidgeting with her jacket zipper. Internally calling her confession childish, Yuta gets lightly smacked by an annoyed Izumi, whom he quickly apologizes to. Yuta gives the injured Izumi a piggyback ride, telling her she's too light, while she reminisces about how much fun she had despite getting blisters from her new shoes. Yuta jokes that Izumi is easy to read, making her blush, and she tightens her grip on his shoulder as she calls out his name. Resting her head on Yuta's back, Izumi quietly thanks him for coming to find her as he carries her through the woods. As Izumi squeezes his shoulder, Yuta reflects that while he couldn't trust her before, he's realizing she might be much simpler than he thought. Recalling when Izumi helped him in the hallway, Yaota feels himself starting to believe in her, just as their group discovers the treasure. The group is disappointed to learn the prize is 10 classical problems workbooks, not $1,000,000. They suggest Yuta take them, but Hasegawa walks away with a smirk. In a short comic, Yuta inspects Izumi's swollen ankle and notices a Lazadog sticker on her bandage. In a short comic from the day before the trip, Izumi struggles to pack a bag full of snacks as her friends continue to offer her more. On the bus ride home, Izumi is disappointed she couldn't hand out snacks, but Yuta later finds a bag of chips left for him as a thank you. Students greet Hinagi Hasegawa, the class representative, admiring her for being beautiful, flawless, and cute as she cheerfully goes about her morning duties. Hasegawa scolds a group of girls for bothering Rei-sama's younger brother, then politely apologizes to Rei for the disturbance. Rei smiles and tells Hasegawa it's fine, causing other students to comment that she must not be interested in him. In a bathroom stall, Hinagi Hasegawa reveals her obsessive Rei-sama fanatic side, frantically writing notes about his scent and recalling when he accidentally grabbed Yuta's bento. Hasegawa revels in the memory of speaking to Rei and reviews her notebook full of intel on him, deciding she needs to learn about his private life to get closer. Hasegawa cheerfully greets Yuta, while her inner, twin-tailed persona plots to extract information about Rei from him. Hasegawa makes awkward small talk with an unresponsive Yuta, asking about homework and the room temperature, while another student glances at them. Hasegawa rants to herself on the toilet about how rude Yuta is, then smirks as she decides he should have been an easy target based on her observations. Hasegawa identifies Izumi Hujo as a rival for Rei's affection and decides to eavesdrop on her conversation with Yuta to get information. Hasegawa interrupts Yaota and Izumi's lunch, asking what foods they like and pointedly asking what Rei-sama eats in an attempt to get Izumi to talk. After Izumi only says nice about Yuta's lunch, a furious Hasegawa drops her chopsticks and demands to know what Izumi will do with the intel she just got. Hasegawa angrily confronts Izumi, asking if she's a Rei-sama fan, but Izumi simply asks Hasegawa what kind of dishes she likes instead. Izumi blushes and tells Hasegawa that they must be the same, causing Yuta to panic and assume she's after his lunch. Frustrated in a bathroom stall, Hasegawa laments that she learned nothing about Rei-sama and instead only got information on Yuta and Izumi before blushing at her "I love Rei-sama" notebook. Hasegawa vows to uncover some information next time as Yuta arrives home and is greeted by his brother. Yuta is met at the door by his brother Rei, who is disheveled and scratching his stomach, prompting Yuta to say his classmates would be shocked to see him like this. A short comic describes Hinagi Hasegawa's public persona as a reliable class rep, contrasting it with her private reality as an intense Rei-sama fanatic. In a bonus comic, Yuta and Izumi discuss their favorite bento foods, with Izumi enthusiastically agreeing with all of Yuta's choices. A comic strip shows roses blooming around Rei at school, but wilting around his messy, unkempt self at home. Yaota complains about having to pull weeds for school-wide cleaning day, and when Hasegawa offers to help, he refuses. She then smilingly declares they are friends, confusing him. As his friends praise Hasegawa for being nice, Yuta wonders what she is trying to do. Later, an exhausted Hasegawa laments that she failed to get any info on Rei-sama from Yuta. Hasegawa resolves to build a solid friendship with Yuta first, but when she reaches for a comforting item in her bag, she panics upon discovering it is gone. Hasegawa frantically searches her desk for her lost memento bookmark, imagining a disappointed Rei-sama as she runs off in a panic to find it. Yuta's friends tease him for mellowing out, mentioning the piggyback ride he gave Izumi, but he slams his hands on a desk and insists he still doesn't trust girls. A gloomy Hasegawa tells Yuta and his friends that she dropped something she can't find, and the boys eagerly offer to help her look, dragging a reluctant Yuta with them. The boys decide to split into groups to look for Hasegawa's lost item, and she ends up paired with Yaota, whom she thanks for helping. While searching the rooftop, Yuta asks what the bookmark is like, and a blushing Hasegawa explains it has a sakura petal pressed into it that Rei-sama gave to her. Yuta realizes Hasegawa has been trying to get close to him for his brother's sake and tells her he's used to it, but she denies that was her only reason. Yuta asks how his brother gave her a gift, and she explains Rei simply picked a petal off her head. She then tearfully shouts that Rei was the only one kind to her back then. With tears in her eyes, Hasegawa declares her love for Rei-sama, then apologizes to Yuta for involving him and runs off to look on her own. As Yuta walks away thinking he owes her nothing, he recalls her emotional confession. Elsewhere, his friends also fail to find the bookmark. Yuta's friends figure the only other place Hasegawa went was the weed-pulling area. A dejected Hasegawa tells them not to worry and that she'll look on her own. Hasegawa is shocked to find Yuta digging through trash bags, and as he explains he thought the bookmark might be in there, she thinks about how she was using him. As Yuta continues to dig through the trash for her important item, Hasegawa overhears his friends discussing how girls have used him since he was a kid to get to Rei-sama. Hasegawa realizes she was doing exactly what Yuta hates, just as his friends remark that he's a kind guy who can't help but lend a hand to people in trouble. Yaota's friends join the search, and Yaota finds the bookmark in a trash bag, holding it out to a stunned Hasegawa. A blushing Hasegawa apologizes for her earlier outburst and then sincerely thanks Yuta for his help. As they leave the classroom, Yaota mutters that her obsession is some serious bro-con behavior, which makes an annoyed Hasegawa call out his name. Hasegawa admits she was trying to get information about Rei-sama from him and that his attitude angered her, but she promises she won't do it anymore. After Yuta apologizes, Hasegawa bursts out laughing and tells him that he's actually a good guy. Hasegawa declares she will get intel on Rei-sama herself to prove her love and asks Yuta to be friends for real, but he vehemently refuses. Hasegawa laughs and tells Yaota he should show his assertive side more often. He retorts that all girls use him like she did, but she insists she won't do that anymore. As a group of girls invites Yuta's friends to walk home, he wonders if Izumi is included and looks over at her, lost in thought. Yaota becomes flustered as he thinks about Izumi, trembling as he concludes that she is a total mystery to him. Hasegawa calls Yuta a mystery and smacks him on the back, calling him her lil bro-in-law, which makes him yell out in pain and confusion. In a short comic, a female student shows Yuta a rare Bunno Motivation Gacha prize, explaining she got it 5 times while trying to get a Lazy-Dog toy. In the comic, Yuta accepts the toy from the student and feels happy despite not wanting it, then sees a wall of Lazy Bunch gacha machines. In the comic, Yuta thinks getting the same prize 5 times is a superpower and decides to try the gacha machine himself, even though he insists he doesn't want one. The next day, the female student is shocked to see Izumi has the same rare gacha prize, and Izumi simply stares at a flustered Yuta and says she has no clue how she got it. Students practice for the upcoming sports festival, and Yaota impresses his classmates with his running speed. While other students admire Izumi for looking stylish even while resting in a small patch of shade, Yuta approaches and asks why she chose such a hot spot. Izumi explains she's avoiding stepping on flowers, which surprises Yuta, and then asks him if he's a fast runner. A blushing Yuta admits he likes running, but is interrupted by Hasegawa, who wants to talk to him about a team relay race. Hasegawa explains the mixed-grade relay race and informs a reluctant Yuta that the class has already nominated him as their ace, leaving him no choice but to agree. Hasegawa gets excited upon learning Rei-sama is also in the relay, albeit on a different team, and she gushes about a sibling showdown as Yuta looks annoyed. Yaota tries to walk away, saying he's not interested, but Hasegawa calls him her lil bro-in-law and pleads for his help as the bell rings. Feeling gloomy, Yuta recalls a childhood memory of a close race against his brother, remembering that Rei was always his only rival. Yaota recalls vowing to beat his perfect older brother as a child, but remembers constantly being outshone by Rei's natural talent in everything. Yuta remembers the moment he gave up trying to be number 1 after losing to his brother again, telling a classmate that he was done trying. Yuta laments that he can't beat his brother at anything except survival skills, just as Rei himself appears and asks if he's going home. When Rei asks to walk home together, Yaota realizes he isn't scared of never being the best, as he overhears other students identifying him only as Rei-sama's brother. Yaota realizes he's scared of being compared to Rei and quickly makes an excuse to avoid walking home with him, leaving his brother confused. Yuta runs off in a panic but trips and falls hard, berating himself for running away from everything in his life. As Yuta lies on the ground after his fall, Izumi appears above him and asks if he is okay. Yuta is mortified that Izumi saw him fall, but she tells him she also tripped there and found the spot comfortable, demonstrating by rolling around on the ground. Izumi explains the spot has great sunlight, then leans down very close to Yuta to show him the best part. Izumi points out the breeze from a nearby fan, and as Yaota agrees it's nice, he sees other students practicing for the sports festival. After a classmate jokes about the bread-eating race, Izumi lists her sports festival events and then asks Yuta about his. When Izumi tells Yuta he should do the relay, he demurs, saying his brother will be there, and then wonders why he is confiding in her. Izumi questions why his brother's presence is a problem, then sits next to Yuta and admits she doesn't understand complicated things. Sitting beside him, Izumi tells Yuta that regardless of his brother, he is still himself. Yuta is taken aback by Izumi's simple, straightforward logic, and as he starts to explain his fear of comparison, he realizes she is different. Yuta sees that the flower from earlier has been moved, and Izumi explains she replanted it in the sun so it wouldn't get stepped on. Looking at the flower, Izumi tells Yaota he'll be fine too, because he was sparkling when he was running freely. Leaning toward a stunned Yuta, Izumi smiles brightly and tells him that he is their team's best bet. Yuta looks up from his seated position with a stunned expression as Izumi stands before him. Watching Izumi with the flower, Yuta wonders how she can be so confident and why she encourages him instead of dismissing him. Yuta reflects on how a few words from Izumi have made him feel like he's sparkling. Filled with a sudden, overwhelming happiness from her words, a blushing and teary-eyed Yuta abruptly stands up, startling his friends. As Yuta runs off, he thinks about how strange he feels, with his chest pounding like crazy, and tries to convince himself Izumi's words had no special meaning. Despite his doubts, Yaota realizes he wants to believe Izumi's words, that he's happy she said them, and that he wants to live up to her expectations. A blushing Yuta is overwhelmed by this new feeling. A notice board confirms he has signed up for the interclass relay race. In a short comic, a volleyball coach yells at his team for making mistakes, unaware that Izumi is peeking at them through the gym window. The volleyball coach and his team become flustered by Izumi's presence, thinking she has a crush on one of them, which raises their morale as Yuta tells her to use a fan. In a classroom, Urara and Izumi show off borrowed cheer squad outfits, and a classmate tells them they look good in them. Izumi smugly models her cheer outfit for a blushing Yuta, who stammers, unable to form a complete sentence. A friend teases Yuta for his reaction to Izumi, and when Yuta insists he doesn't need her cheers, Urara suggests she should cheer for him in the relay. On the day of the sports festival, Yuta thinks about how Izumi's words made him join the relay and how his heart now pounds just from seeing her. Yuta's heart beats rapidly as he stares at Izumi in her sports festival attire, and his friend has to check if he is okay. As the first event begins, Yuta is bored until he notices a long line of students waiting for a photo opportunity with his brother, Rei-sama. Yuta watches the ball toss event and is baffled by Izumi's attempt to dump her entire basket at once. She then bumps into him and apologizes. A tall, intimidating student grabs Yuta for spacing out, but then apologizes and pats him, leaving Yuta terrified. Yuta is surprised to see his parents, who are wearing matching t-shirts to cheer for him and his brother. Yuta's parents explain that they came to see him because the crowd around Rei was too big, which Yuta takes as a backhanded insult. After Izumi proudly announces she scored twice, Yuta's parents immediately swarm him, fawning over how adorable she is. Yuta's parents enthusiastically introduce themselves to Izumi, and his mom thanks her for taking care of their blunt and socially awkward son. Remembering all the times Yuta helped her, a blushing Izumi tells his parents that she knows he is a very kind person. After hearing Izumi's praise, Yuta's parents look at each other approvingly, and his father invites her to visit their home sometime. Yuta's parents embarrass him by saying they'd be happy if he and Izumi remained friends. Before running off to cheer, Izumi then tells Yuta his parents were nice. Izumi takes a surprised Yuta's hand and tells him she will be watching him too, causing his heart to race. Rei's friend notes that Rei is anchoring the relay against Yuta, commenting that it's bold of him to face his undefeated older brother. Rei smiles, recalling Yuta's vow to win, and tells his friend he's pumped as hell because his brother is finally fired up for a competition. Rei says he'll have to try his best and goes to get some water, leaving his friend to wonder why Yuta suddenly changed. Rei's friend wonders what changed Yuta's attitude, while Rei thinks that if Yuta tries his best, he could actually lose. On the field, Yuta's mom yells his name. A thank you illustration shows Izumi looking down with a gentle smile, with a small, flustered Yuta in the background. In a short comic, Yuta finds Izumi looking angry at school, but she then offers him a snack, revealing she was just hungry. In the comic, Izumi tells Yuta not to just roll the huge candy around in his mouth, and they both end up munching with their cheeks puffed out. In the comic, a classmate greets a munching Yuta and Izumi, who try to respond with their mouths full, and he takes a picture of them. As the sports festival continues, Yuta, motivated by Izumi, volunteers to be the anchor for his team's relay race, surprising his friends. Yuta panics about having to run in front of everyone, regretting his decision to join the relay as his parents watch. Yuta's mom worries that Izumi is overheated and gives her water and a cooling towel, which she gratefully accepts. Yuta's dad offers Izumi a paper fan with both Yuta's and Rei's names on it, and she accepts it, looking at the side, cheering for Yuta. As the final event begins, the crowd goes wild for the blue team's anchor, Rei-sama, who makes his way onto the track. The race starts, and the pink team's runner stumbles, but Urara tells Izumi that they still have a chance if they can pass the baton to Yuta. Izumi tells a classmate that someone gave her the fan as she watches the race, where pink team is currently in last place. As they wait for their turn, Rei asks a tense Yuta if he is nervous. Yuta denies it, and Rei admits that he is. Rei reflects on his childhood with Yuta, revealing he always thought he would someday lose to him. Rei tells Yuta that he won't lose because he wants to be a brother that Yuta can be proud of, and then takes the baton. The crowd cheers as Rei starts his run, and Yuta thinks about how his brother has always been his rival and his pride. Yuta admits that he is scared of being compared to his brother, but then remembers Izumi's words that he is still himself. A full-page illustration shows Izumi and their friends holding up the fan and cheering, "You can do it, Yuta." A blushing Yuta looks determined as he prepares to receive the baton and start running. Thinking that he is no longer scared, Yuta takes the baton and sprints with incredible speed, moving his team from last place into second. The race comes down to a final showdown between Yuta and Rei, who start the final leg as the pistol fires. After the race, students praise Rei for winning, while an exhausted Yuta realizes he lost and ended up in second place. Izumi tells Yuta, "Good work," and then their friends swarm him, praising his speed and pulling him away for a photo. After his friends leave, Yuta approaches Izumi and apologizes for failing to live up to her hopes. Izumi pulls the towel over Yuta's head and starts rubbing his hair, saying no when he tells her to stop. Izumi tells Yuta that he was amazing, and he reflects that while losing to his brother usually hurts, it's different now that someone is watching him. A blushing Yuta watches Izumi pat his back and walk away to join the others as his friends call out to him. Rei excitedly puts his arm around Yuta, saying how fun the race was, and wonders why his brother was pushing himself so hard. Rei realizes Yuta's motivation was Izumi, and when he teases him about it, a flustered Yuta vehemently denies it,